of one because of that value. Those are the very rare projects. Maybe
laptops from the council, and it's all online. We assess everything online. That's the system actually worked very well for the COVID-19. I think that at the moment that they are discussing, productivity increased from working from home, and people are working even in the midnight. That's what happened in Australia. That if I can't work in the daytime, I will actually cover my works at night time. So that's really flexible, and productivity, I think, that increase in the planning system in Australia with COVID-19. There was no any backlogs or anything. I know in any council, they all actually just working from home.
Yes, I think, you are not physically meeting, but you do the work in virtually.
Yes,
So
because we've been given laptops and everything is in the laptop. And if we have got the internet connected, so we can go to all the systems in the workplace. Like we have got like some systems to work. There is a system to do our report writing. There is a system to check the mapping. There is a system to go to the planning scheme. And there is a system to actually send it to the authorizing officers, and it's all been done over
virtually,
online.
So you have a system already available to cope with unexpected situations like COVID-19.
Yeah, I think so. I think actually they are all going online. Everything is transparent. You can see a lot of information online. The applicant can actually trace their applications online, and there is a register, and it's really a transparent and effective way. I hope that I answered the question, or Shivanti. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's
sometimes till midnight and even after midnight.
Yes. A lot of people actually work after office hours because all systems are available at their hand, and they can work. That is really flexible. They go on their things in the daytime, and they can work at any time because they have to cover their responsibilities only. So it doesn't matter when actually you work.
Yeah, time is not the matter. There you have the task, and you have to do it your own. And
actually, I will give some information about these time frames and how actually it contributes to the productivity.
Yeah. I think Plan and Nisanka, can I hear your voice?
Hello, can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
After a long time, very nice to hear you, Shimali. Even you can see me. Then Vikrama and Sumana also. Nice to hear. Then in very short form, I will ask very small questions from you to share your knowledge.
Of course, yes, sure.
Yes, productivity. In terms of what in planning. Then in Sri Lanka, when you are working, we attended to making plans, preparation of plans in Sri Lanka for local authority areas. As well, according to the Act and circulars, planning committees establishing local authorities to preparation of development plans as a consultative committees. Presently planning is going on, but waiting for balance 200 areas to be covered by preparation of plans. First question, in terms of preparation of plans, in Australia, now UAC has been established in 1987. 87, the Planning and Environmental Act 1987.
Yes, Act. Yes.
Now you have also got some period. I want to know first question. Have you ever completed all Australia under this Act? Planning works has been completed for all areas.
Okay.
Second one, then enforcement. In terms of productivity, we have to do enforcement works because we have to implement the plans after preparation. What percentage you have come, but is achieved after, because we are preparing plans for 10 years of 15 years or 5 years or some period. Now, 100% you have achieved from that plans you have prepared for Australia. Well, enforcement. Then we looking for the proper enforcement works. Then finally we can see the fully fledged planned city, no unauthorized constructions. On that way, in that sense, productivity. What is the experience on productivity in Australia? Then again, participation, public participation on planning for productivity and facilitation. What's the facilities you have to do that type of productivity in terms of Australian context? Then I think you can share your experience to apply for our country. Thank you very much.
I think the first two questions I think you can answer, and the third one is related to community, right? Community
Correct.
participation.
Yeah, I can actually give some little insight for community participation as well. So your first question, sorry, Nisanka.
Correct.
Is the Planning and Environment Act 1987, and you asked whole Australia. As I said, I'm sorry if I actually confuse you. This is not
correct.
only for the whole Australia. This is for Victoria. Victoria also a big area, big landmass. So yes, it is. So if actually I go through my presentation, this planning scheme, like your development plan, this is actually a legal document. If we breach planning scheme, we breach Planning and Environment Act. That is a regulation in Australia, like a parliamentary, it's been actually enacted by the parliament, the Victorian Parliament. So when we breach this act. So we are not breaching anything in Australia. It is very rare. It is very rare that we get this unauthorized constructions. I don't know how actually these people are really disciplined, and these systems are really disciplined. You can't do anything without getting the planning approvals. It triggers a planning permit. There are some things that does not trigger a planning permit. They can go and do that. But there are a lot of things, predominantly the developments actually trigger a planning permit. So it is not like in your context that you are thinking like there should be plants developed to these areas, and there are a lot of areas that plants being not developed. But in in Victoria, each and every council, that in Sri Lanka, actually you say that rural areas, if the Urban Development Authority has not declared that area, we don't have any jurisdiction to go and do a plan in a development plan for that area. But not in Victoria. It's all the councils, each and every council, whether it is rural or urban, they have got a planning scheme. And this local authority, this small area, the local authorities actually, they are responsible to implement their planning scheme. It is not like Urban Development Authority going to the councils and say, hey, look here, and you have to do your developments according to our development plan. And here we have an authority like Urban Development Authority. We call it DELP, Department of Environment, Water, Land and Planning. And that is a state government agency like Urban Development Authority, who actually manage this planning provisions and planning regulations, and the custodian for Planning and Environment Act, and custodian for the planning schemes. Even though these planning schemes being implemented by the councils, it is being looked after by this authority, and this authority is the one who gives us the guidelines to prepare this planning scheme. Ultimately, actually, we have got this the topic, the political interference. I think that Vikrama tried to give you some idea. Actually, the planning minister, the political authority, is the one who has the ultimate power to implement this Planning and Environment Act. But it comes to the grassroots level to administer it in day-to-day processes. So I think that it is really difficult to give you this answer how actually we implement it.
For tourism development or any kind of like agricultural development hubs or whatever it is, there is a need. Even like for instance, Mutrajavela, one of the person, even
that my neighbor is actually doing such and such, and whether they have got a planning permit or what, and then they go there and see whether they have got a planning permit. If they have not got a planning permit, there is a process to actually get them to comply with the planning scheme and the planning processes. So I think it's different from Sri Lanka. Each and every council has got a planning scheme, all the area, all the land. If you go to some area in Sri Lanka and select a property, that would not actually covered by any development plan. But in Australia, each and every lot being zoned, there is a zoning for each and every lot, and there can be some more planning provisions, planning controls over that land. So it's all been covered, and it's all been under a planning scheme, and everyone actually should comply with the planning scheme provisions or the controls. I think that I covered your enforcement thing as well. It's a bit different here. I don't know whether I answer everything.
Yes, Srimali. Yeah. Thank you, Srimali.
Yeah,
You're
sorry to
welcome.
interrupt. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Planner Srimali. Let me
Yeah.
remind you that we can continue the discussion in Sinhala and Tamil languages as well.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can't actually speak Tamil. Sorry about that. But if anyone actually want to speak in Sinhala, yes, I'm more than happy to do that.
Tamil is not an issue I can manage.
Good.
So if you wish to ask questions in Tamil and Sinhala, that also appreciate.
Yep.
So I think the question faced by Planner Nisanka was answered.
Yeah, yes, Srimali. Then one thing I want to explain. After delegation of authority to the local authorities from UDA, circulation was issued to prepare plans by themselves while establishing planning committees. But even today, UDA has to go behind and giving consultation to the local authorities. Then workload is behind. Then UDA has to do national level and big works, but we need to enforce or strengthen the local authorities with planners and all.
Yeah.
That's our proposal.
Yeah. That's really good. I think that here in Australia, all planners, lot of planners are working to the council, and that's what I am saying, that there is a structure. There is a department like Urban Development Authority, and they are what they are doing is giving us the structures and the information or the guidelines or guidance how to go about the planning scheme, how to develop the planning scheme, what are the amendments, and if we are going to do an amendment, they help us. And it's like I think that maybe if I could remember correctly, this BSc undergraduate program, actually, I think that it aimed to provide planners to the local authority level. But the thing is, like, we have to think about how we get this enactments like structured, who does what, and who actually sits in which level, and as I said, in Australia, this DELP, DEWLP, we call it, that department actually governs or give all this information to the local authorities how to develop it. And it's like you don't need to have a lot of people in councils to do that, because there is a structured method and there are processes how to do it. And if you got like, it's been done by strategic planners in Australia. We have got 2 different planners in our strategic and statutory, and these statutory planners are the planners who make the decision, but the strategic planners are the one who gives us the information or provide information to the planning scheme. So I can understand what actually you're saying. In Sri Lanka, it is really hard to get these development plans done and development plans enforced or implement. So that's what actually we think we need to think what should change and where actually the changes should take place.
Yes,
And
basically the system change. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I am actually tried to give you information that basically it is not a little changes. It should be a big change, and you have to start thinking. That's ultimately what actually I am going to tell you in my presentation.
Make the
That's clear,
system
Srimali.
simple.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, I think we have another 37 minutes. So we had to be time bound as well. So the
Can
next
I
question.
continue? Or there are more questions?
There is another question from Plan Anand Gamage, I think. Hand raised.
Yeah.
Hi, Srimali. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you, Ananda?
Okay, thank you. Okay, Srimali, since the time is remaining, I just want to raise a question. Thing is, Srimali, even last 10, 15 years, even you left Sri Lanka, things are not much change in the planning sense, except a few things. Even with the COVID-19, now most of the people and the professionals are moving towards online system. I think that is a one good positive thing. But coming back to the topic, since you were in the UDA and we worked, we know each other very closely, and probably that's the thing I mentioned about last 10, 15 years, not much big changes in Sri Lanka. Even as Nishanka mentioned, even from the beginning, from the preparation of the planning, from that point, we are having the problem, right? I think that is again giving the negative impact to the productivity. And main thing is probably you can give the recommendation for we are really lack of the systematic approach, or the systematic approach from the beginning, right? Not only the planning, even the planning and implementation, even the regulatory matters. Same time, other thing is very unfortunately, since now we are in the annual sessions of our planning institute, our professional ethics and the professional practice and the accountability and the responsibility, those also giving a very big thing. My simply thing is, since we are having a limited time, being a planners, what are your recommendations to our own colleagues, that is planners, how to increase the productivity with lack of scarcity, right? Not only the funding, even very unfortunately, Srimal, even in, I'm in Colombo, I was a Colombo chief city planner, but even in the very limited green space, even in Colombo, now some people are doing some construction work, right? In the population density, you can't compare with even with the Sydney and Colombo. But thing is to get some money from the contractor. Very unfortunately, some people want to, the entirely, how can I say, demolishing the green space, very limited green space, mainly for the common people. My humble request is, what are your recommendations to our own colleagues in this particular topic? Thank you, Srimali.
Thank you, Ananda. How can I answer your question, Ananda? As you correctly said, yes, the discipline, the ethics, how we think and how actually we approach to our own responsibilities, and what things that we give value to, and what things actually we ashamed of really matters. But saying that, when you come to our system in Victoria, even though that you want to do something tricky, or you prefers to do something, it doesn't actually allow you to do what you prefer to do. It actually, in the planning scheme, you have to go and assess all these development against the planning scheme, not against your preferences, not against your likes or dislikes. So that is the system, Anand. I think that if we can get some system that does not give you any space to put your own things into the planning process, that will actually limit or arrest a lot of incompetencies of the individuals, I would say. So there are a lot of incompetencies in the individuals, even in our system. But the thing is, there are no space for you to go and play like you want to play, because you have got the documents, you have the planning scheme in front of you, and whatever you do, you have to defend yourselves. And I would say that in my presentation, actually, I got that type of little thing to say that there is an appeal system in our system. When I actually decide on something, if someone is not happy in the it can be the applicant, it can be an objector, it can be some other person, they can take it to the courts. We call it VCAT. It's like a courts. And I, as the planner who made the decision, must go to that court and stand in front of a judge, like a member. We call them as members. It is like a judge, and defend my decision. So when I go there, I can't say that I like this one, I prefer this one than this person, such and such. I actually know them, that's why I did this and that. I need to go and say, this is what planning scheme says, and this what I done, and it actually complement each other. If it does not complement, all my decisions will be strike out, and I will be warned as well. And the council will not allow me to do that, because council's name will be in bad books with VCAT. So that's the system. Ultimately, it comes down to the system, and bottom line is the system works itself. That's what actually I understood in all my years in Australia, that what we are lacking in Sri Lanka is system. Yeah. On top of that, I agree that there is no discipline, and there is no ethics, and there are no respect to each other. There are not respect to our values, and all these values being overlooked and everything. But I think that if there is a system, and the system work for our people, so this system would not work for Sri Lanka, because there are a lot of things that in this system that they actually value their culture, and they value their likes and dislikes. For an example, they don't want the other person, the neighbor, to look into their privacy or look into their private yard. So in our system, in Sri Lanka, actually, we would like to actually talk to the neighbor over the fence. So those are the differences in our Sri Lanka and here. These systems actually thought about all these things when they prepare the planning scheme. So I think that if we can get some good system for our people, that they would actually tend to respect that system. And our planners or the professionals also have got their hands tied to the system. So I think that is one of the approach we can, it would not happen overnight, we have to think and we have to commit ourselves to get a good system in Sri Lanka. That's what I actually believe. I don't know, Anand, I give you any.
No, thank you,
insights, but
Shrimal. I think with the limited time, that is quite enough. Only thing is,
Yeah.
at least if we can do ourselves, being a planners, being a members of our institute, if we can start to think, because since we were in the better state, that's the thing I mentioned even last 10, 15 years, there's much good things. Okay, Shrimal, thank you so much, right? Okay,
No
we'll
worries.
continue this discussion later, right?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. All the best. Thank you. Bye.
no worries.
Okay, we have another 28 minutes. I think if I couldn't see any questions in the chat, but the hand raised, those who raised their hands so got the answers.
Okay, can I
So,
then continue?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
all right,
okay.
thank you. So I think that I'll go quickly. So how many minutes you said that I have? 28, is it?
28, yeah.
All right, okay, I'll try to go quickly. So the next, what is it, planning scheme preparation. So I think that some of them actually I already mentioned. Council work with the Victorian government to develop the planning. So that's the process of developing the planning scheme, like development plan in Sri Lanka. Planning provisions, as I said, that guidance to develop the planning scheme, and all the local authorities actually got to do the planning scheme in accordance with these planning provisions, so that all planning schemes are in the same structure. That actually avoid the for an example, if one developer comes to one council and goes to another council, they don't need to get it from the scratch. All these structures are the same, so they can understand it easily, and they would actually do the development in accordance with that structure, because they already know. If they work with one council, they know when they go to the other council, this is the same structure, so they can actually go about their work easily. So it is one of the things that productivity actually achieves in itself. So provisions are available to add specific requirements to local authorities, but the structure is the same. And again, that I put the statutory planners and strategic planners there, because strategic planners are the one who put all these specific information of the local authorities to the planning scheme. So the planning scheme gets shaped to the requirements of each and every local authority. And the statutory planner, who is the decision maker, takes that planning scheme and assess the developments against that planning scheme. So those are the statutory and strategic planners' roles in the planning system. And as I said, that is the DELWP. DELWP stands for Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. It's a huge department. Not like UDA, actually it's similar to UDA, but it is actually covering the environment, land Victoria, and water management in Victoria, and all these things actually integrated with each other. And all this, they are the custodian of the planning scheme, as I said earlier, sir. So they are actually managing how planning schemes being shaped for each and every council. And state planning means, as I said, we have got this topic in front of us, how actually we manage this political interference in Australia. As I said, they are the minister, the planning minister is the key office holder responsible for administering the act. But he can't do whatever he wants. There is a structure, there are processes, there are time frames, and people are looking at him. And people will actually topple him down if he actually go and do whatever he wants. And if he actually make bad decisions, it will actually come after him. And they know that in Australia. So I think that is a whole big area that we have to think and discuss, how actually structure our planning systems to give them a process and give them idea that they can't do whatever they want. So it's been very fortunately in Australia, it's already been done and there is a structure and no one can actually go about the structure or the systems that they have already established.
So there is no
So
loopholes, no? There is no loopholes
there
to
are,
deviate.
there are, is that Jude speaking?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Jude, actually, there are a lot of actually loopholes. There are repercussions. There are the things that happened unnecessarily within the planning system. But thing is, it is very limited. It is not happening very often in Australia. I can't say that 100% it works, but this is actually being made by human beings. So there are drawbacks in all these processes and everything, but it is really, really limited. And people can't actually go through through these holes very often. It is rarely happening in Australia, but yeah, if they actually get to know that there is a loophole and this person done this because of that, they straight away go there and have discussions and try to actually fix it, not to happen it again. So yes, so
yeah, another point is there were some keywords I have noted down. You were talking about community confidence and
Yep.
collaborative approaches and
Yep.
politicians having different kind of agenda and communities having different expectations. So how these things integrated to achieving productivity?
Yeah, community participation actually, when we, let's put it like this, we got a planning scheme like a development plan, but community people, some people actually want some zoning to be changed. Let's say, I give you an example what's happening in my council at the moment. There are very big demand for housing and we have very little residential zoned areas. Now these people who own the farming land or rural residential land, they actually lobbying to change this zoning in their lands to general residential, like residential development zoned land. So what actually happened, there is a process to change the planning scheme. So that's where the community comes into the process and say, this is what we want. And they lobbying for it. And there is, when it comes to the planners will go back to book and see, is there any demand for generally residential zoned areas? Is there any demand for housing? Is this population coming into this? That is how actually it works. Like, it doesn't work like without any evidence, without any base, without any data. We have to have that data to actually entertain communities' requirements or the community demands. So when you try to change or amend the planning scheme, there is a big lengthy process of getting these communities involved, and they can put, all these communities in that area can put submissions to this amendment or for this proposed changes to the planning scheme. It can be actually for the amendment or against the amendment. So there is a big process in the planning system that we have to entertain all these objections or the submissions from the community. And that is strategic.
So basically,
wildlife area, but it's not. Like very recently somebody put up houses there. So I can
and give evidence and give information or the data to challenge their demand or to support their demand. So if planners support their demand, we go to a planning scheme amendment, and there is a big opportunity for all these communities to participate in that process. And that is the community participation. And again, that is actually strategic planning. When it comes to statutory planning, that is like we just approve one development planning application. And there is also system that we advertise the plans to the neighboring properties, and they have got the opportunity to put their submission. And planners actually, when they decide on this particular development, particular planning application, we have got some time frames, and we have got the framework how we entertain all these community submissions or the objections. So that is, yeah, it is everywhere in the planning process, the community participation.
There's a question in the chat. It says, how the discipline maintains among the people in keeping landscapes in cities?
Landscaping question, is it?
Yeah, the chat
Yeah.
says how the discipline maintains among the people in keeping nice landscape in cities.
That is a really lacking thing. If I know correctly, the plan in Sri Lanka. In here, actually, for an example, I'll talk with examples because I can actually explain it better, and the person who asked will get it better. If we issue a planning permit for, let's say, 2 houses, there is a requirement under the planning scheme. They have to provide us a landscape plan. And landscape plan has got a lot of requirements to fulfill. And they should be like, for example, the landscape plan has to have indigenous vegetation, which is indigenous to Victoria. And percentage 40 and 50. Exotic can be 40, indigenous can be 50. That means that they are planting indigenous vegetation rather than weeds or invasive plants. And we ultimately, so there will be a landscape plan with the housing plans, and we will endorse that landscape plan. And the responsibility is on the applicant to implement the landscape plan. When we go and for some instances that our enforcement officers go there, and if we can see that landscaping has not been done, they've been issued fines or they've been issued some warning letters to keep up to their landscaping plan. So that's how actually, yeah, it is a good point, and it is a very good question. I think that is actually lacking in Sri Lankan, I think, the regulations or anything. We don't actually think about landscaping, or we don't talk about tree planting in our regulation. Whoever actually asked the question, please keep thinking. That is a very good direction of thinking to make
So
a
the
change.
community actually support the landscaping and maintain the city clean.
Community must, because it's the law.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, that's why actually, if I go back a bit, as I said, these been actually thought very carefully according to their culture, according to what they value. If we actually think about our people, our people's behavior, what our people like to do, we can actually develop something that our people would like to comply with. So it
Not
is
through
not
law.
like, no, not to borrow everything from Western countries or Western cultures or anything. That we have to actually, I think that we have to go by our people's behavior, go by our people's values, and then it is very unlikely that they will actually breach it. If it compatible for their thinking and their social behavior, it is really highly likely that they will comply with it, at least the majority.
Yeah, so
Others?
to add into that, so with the current situation, for example, wearing mask, so our people, some think that until the gazette is notified, they won't do it. Like until the police arrest, they won't do it. So those should be changed, right?
That is a
Until the
very general type of
the simple,
thing, the attitude,
simple kind of things, yeah.
Yeah, and the discipline. Yeah, overall, as you actually raised that, I think that Sri Lanka would not go anywhere until our people actually abide the law, abide or play by the
Think
play by the
themselves
rules.
and do it, yeah.
play
Yeah,
by the books. We don't have that discipline in Sri Lanka in any field, I think. So that is a very broad type of thing that we have to discipline our people. All right, can I
Okay.
actually continue? Is there any other questions?
There's a one question. Town planning for getting rural. What is your insight on rural communities' contribution to increase the productivity?
Rural people's
The question.
contribution in
Yeah.
planning system, is it?
We are more focusing on town planning and forgetting the rural planning. So basically the question is, we are more focused on urban than rural. So what is your insights of rural communities' contribution to enhance the productivity?
As I said, when we do these planning schemes for rural areas, we are not actually emphasizing on urban development. We are emphasizing on agriculture. There are a lot of
Okay.
areas zoned as agricultural land, farming land, green veg land, what else? Land subject to inundation overlay, like if there are floodings in rural areas, we have got like overlays to protect that areas. And that's how actually I'm saying that there is no such thing in Australia saying that this is rural area that we are not applying planning controls. There are planning controls, but planning controls are actually suitable for rural areas.
The
That's
balance
why
between
actually-
urban, yeah. There is a
Yes,
balance
and
between urban, yeah.
not balance actually. There is actually specific controls, I would say. Specific control. There are controls which will be suitable in the planning provisions for the rural area. So if it is a rural council and it has got a lot of rural agricultural land, they actually protect that agricultural land. And in the planning provisions, there are particular zones that we can use in our planning scheme to protect or increase the productivity of agricultural lands in the planning scheme. That's what actually, when I actually answered Nishanka's question, I said that there are no any area that's been not zoned. Every inch of this Victoria being zoned. There are no areas that no planning scheme being applicable to. As Vikrama said in his presentation, there are some defense or there are some highly secretive, the projects or local, where the main federal government's national security type of projects that would not come under the planning scheme. But other than that, everything is actually under planning scheme, rural or urban, whatever planning scheme applicable, but we are using specific type of zoning, specific type of other controls to protect or enhance the productivity of those rural areas.
There is a question saying, what is the base for zoning? Is it activity-based zoning, or what is the background or base?
That's also a good question, I think. It is, I can't remember actually what we done in Sri Lanka as zoning. In here, zoning has got three main components: use, development, and subdivision. When we put zoning into one area, we actually go by the land use, the predominant land use at the moment, and the infrastructure is really critical. What type of infrastructure we have got in that area, and infrastructure actually comprises of drainage, sewerage, and mainly the transportation, the vehicular access to that area. So it depends. We have to differentiate like what type of infrastructure that needs for residential, what type of infrastructure that you need in the low density rural areas or the agricultural areas. So all these things actually come into consideration when we go and decide what type of zoning that we should put into that area. As I said before, when we actually try to change the zoning, from like low density areas or farming zones to residential zone. Those are the things that we actually consider. Someone is yawning, is it?
Yeah.
I think that my presentation is really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, so
the
anyway,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
basically,
anyway,
you have the zoning is basically like commercial, residential, industrial, or like that or something.
yes, it is like that. Residential, there are categories of residential like neighborhood residential, or low density residential, or general residential. There are categories of residential, and then commercial, industrial, farming, yes, so those are the main zones. But in here, there is a very interesting thing happening. It is not only the zoning. There are something called overlays. It actually sits on top of zoning. Let's say this. We have got some residential zoned area, but there is a big, huge views to that area. Let's say that we actually get views to the ocean from that area. So we want to limit the height of the dwellings in those residential areas. So we put a overlay. We call them design and development overlays. We put the height restrictions via those overlays. So it's a really complicated method of putting controls to the areas. So I actually think like the person who asked the question about zoning should
Got an idea how it
maybe,
is
yes, I
prepared.
think the zoning would not
Decide.
actually practical how we use it today in Sri Lanka. There should be some more inputs to that zoning areas and manipulate it to the requirements of that particular specific area. And as I started to say, there are three main components: use, development, and subdivision. If we put a zoning in there can be a requirement for uses. Uses and development is different two things in Australia. Use can trigger a plan.
Yeah.
Use and development. It is like building and works is development, but the use is different. Let's say that if we have a development for a building, but what it is to be used for. If it is used for residential, that's a dwelling. If it can be a dwelling, but that building can be used for commercial purposes as well. That building can be used for, let's say, like a medical center. That's how actually it differentiate in the zoning. Use, what is the use? Use can actually trigger a planning permit. Then it comes to building and works. Does it trigger a planning permit? It is really a structured type of zoning in planning scheme.
Yeah, the planning schemes are prepared for a certain period of time, like 20 years, 25 years. That's a different.
No, actually, and I should actually answer that question that when Nisanka asked the question. That is not the case in with the planning scheme. Planning schemes is forever.
Okay, so you can time to time it is possible
change
to
change it and amend it and break it and whatever you can do it whatever you want, but it is there forever.
So the residents and those who apply for development will be getting the updates regularly.
If we actually change the planning scheme, it sits online. Anyone, even from Sri Lanka, you go online and type whatever the city council's name and planning scheme, it is all available online. All 80, I think there are 84 councils in Victoria. It's all available online.
Okay, so
and amendments and everything is in there that people can see what changes that we have made and everything, and the map. All these things are available online.
Yeah, okay. Is there any question from Nishamani? Nishamani?
Yes, yes,
Hand raise, yeah.
actually, yes. First of all, I have to thank to give this kind of a platform to share all our knowledges with the great planners in overseas.
We
So
have
I
5 minutes.
okay.
We have only
So
5
I
minutes.
think the zoning, actually, I have raised a question regarding zoning. So if in Sri Lanka now we are in a density-based zoning, that's why I'm asking what is the zoning which the Australia is the carry out. So actually, as the Miss said, we are now in our development plans also, we have some kind of height restriction areas, visibility controlling areas, and so on. So I raise my hand to ask that question, whether this is what kind of a zoning that is practiced in Australia. Is it a density based zoning or activity based zoning? So thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whether
Oh,
I answered that question. Density. That's what I am saying. That zoning actually would not consider about the density. There can be different type of other controls like overlays will applicable to that area to control the height or the
Yes,
density.
exactly. Yes.
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 use
Hope
and
I
use and development, yeah.
Yes, and landscaping. Now in our new regulation also we have the landscaping plans, as you said, when the building plan is in some areas, the specified areas. If someone gives the building plan, they have to give the landscape plan also if it's facing
Very
for
good.
waterfront.
Yeah,
also.
that's yeah, very glad to
Yes.
hear that type of thing.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
We have another 2 minutes. Any questions? So,
Can
Planner Sri
I?
Malik can, yeah.
Yes, can I skipped some of the slides. I go to this one just to show you. This is the planning map. This is the area of a city council, and these are the different zones. This is the pink color is residential, and this is rural, and this is like environmentally sensitive areas, the blue and the green, and yeah, to give you some idea, this is the zone in map. I think that it is just like in Sri Lanka, and this is one lot. If you go to this lot, actually we can online, that is related to productivity. Anyone can go online and type their home address or whatever, and they can actually know what are the controls applicable to their site and what are the regulations, and when they do something, what are the things that they have to comply with. And this is transparency, and this is productivity in the system itself. I'm actually emphasizing it. The system has got tools to make it productive. And I skipped that. And the other thing that, yes, these are the things actually I thought that I will give you some insight of, but yeah, the landscaping and street setbacks and open spaces, and maybe overlooking also something that we can actually look into, add to our planning controls in Sri Lanka. I don't think that I have got time to do these things. Ultimately, I want
20 seconds, yeah.
Oh yeah, this is actually, I want to give you the last message. Changes to Sri Lanka, start thinking big. I wouldn't trust that small changes would do any better in your system. So think, and get a think tank or something like that going on with all these very, very senior planners and the young planners as well. I would say that you can do it. With all these planners, like 300 planners in this forum, we can make a change. So thank you very much for giving me
Okay.
the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Also, the time is over now. We are moving to
Yep.
the main session.
Yep.
Okay, see you there.
Okay. Thank you very much all for listening.